Come here now, girl.
Hello and welcome to WhatMap, your one-stop shop for everything workshop. I'm BonBonB and you're very, very welcome. Well, it's Monday, we're right back to the top of the workshop looking at the top performing map of the moment, and it's this one by a lesser known, newish creator, and it's not too bad at all if you want to do a good solid build. It's got all of the shapes and all of the interesting things, and it's not really too much wrong with it. In the second half of today's show, we're going to have the longest waiting creator request map of the moment, and that one is really good for a small middle America, small grid style city town, and again it's a real life location, so you could be recreating that exact location if that's what you're after. So two quite interesting maps today, both pretty good for grids if you're after grid cities. But before we do any gridding, I've got some clicking for you. That's right, clicking that like button really does support the channel, gets me seen by more people and helps me grow up a little bit more every single day. Thank you for your support. Today's first map is New Vanessa County by tyreyfurry. Furry? Oops. Anyway, tyreyfurry, what an interesting name you have there. Start Square looks very buildable to me. Those fields are great for individual buying or pretend buying and will help shape your city into a grid, but not a true grid. Plenty of buildable space in terms of terrain heights, lots of strong resources, field painting, but big blocks, so you can actually work with that quite interestingly. And then if you've got Sunset Harbour and you want to do some fishing, we have all of the little fishies today. So that's something nice, isn't it? Right, off to the workshop. What do we need? Well, it's a 100% vanilla map. That's right, 100% vanilla. We'll be using the vanilla temperate theme and of course a realistic 1.2 LUTs, although you're welcome to use whatever themes and LUTs you like. One comment on this map is good. And I can't argue that. I can't argue it. It is good. Is it amazing? Is it spellbinding? It's not trying to be. It's not. And stop wanting every map to be spellbindingly amazing. Listen, there are masterpiece painters. Yeah, you've got your Van Goghs. And I can't think of any other painters right now. But you've got your Van Goghs. And then you've got your pretty decent painters. And yeah, I like to think I can sketch and draw and paint a little bit. And same with map making, is exactly the same. You can't have all of the greats. Sometimes just a good strong map from a dependable creator is all you need. Now, very close here to a little bit of mantle, a little bit of glitching on the side of the railway there. That's a bit wanting to glitch, just a bit. Oh, and when you pull away from the wrong angles, you can get a bit of blue mantle there. You might have caught that one. That's down to angles. That's fine. Bridge looks a little bit low. If you've got a shipping route through there, we might be in trouble. We'll have a look for that a bit later on. And then the highways are, and the rail, of course, both pretty strong. We've got the highway routes follow kind of like a T, so it follows the entire coast and then takes a direct route inland through the middle of the map. No catenary chaos, which is good to see, and yes, 3 lots of everybody's favourite factory. Yeah, that's there for the BonBonBingo players. Link, as always, is in the description. Again, we've got some more bridges, big old bridges, because everybody loves a big old bridge. Another one there for the BonBonBingo players. Why aren't you playing BonBonBingo? It's the best game ever. Okay, well, it might be in the top zillion. Anyway, the highways follow, as I mentioned before, the length of the coast. And whether that pleases you or not is going to be down to you, but I don't have a major issue with it. And then we've got the big old intersection. This is the main intersection on the map. And it's one of those, basically. It's a T intersection. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, if we follow this down, we're going to take another big old bridge across into Start Square territory, where the fields begin, and where you're going to be doing a lot of your early settling. And it seems like a pretty nice thing. We have got a couple of clipping trees through here. This one's actually clipping through the road, rather than overhanging the road. Then the one in the middle is just overhanging the road there. Another big old bridge. Nicely balanced, I'd say. But when we come over this side, the pillars lose alignment. Something's just a little bit lost there. Also, the heights of the bridges just waver a little bit as well. Just the standards drop away a little bit there, and how it comes back down to ground's a little bit clumpy. Just a little. If you're looking for slick and polished, it's a little bit clumpy. If you're looking for practical and doesn't look too bad at all, it's fine. And that's what we've got to be talking about with map making. It's not always about how pretty can you make. Can you build on this map? Yes. Would it be an interesting build? I'd say kind of, yeah. We've got an interesting shape. We've got these fields as well. Like I say, you can pretend to buy field by field or just demolish the fields and do whatever you want. Listen, this is what it's always all about. You know, you can just build and play whichever way you like. And this map is sensibly laid out and it's got some interesting little areas and some more everybody's favourite factories going on here. So yes, we've got those two. We've got some settlements. I'll come back and have a look at settlements. I'm not quite sure we need perhaps there's been lots of deaths at these and we needed cemeteries. Oh man. Anyway, we follow the rail out, and no catenary chaos down here either, which is always a neat little thing. And then everybody loves a little old bridge. Quite a clean, tidy little old bridge there. I think there's a bit, again, looking at just what the elevator section and what the bridge sections are, you can see that bridge has actually been planned out and thought has been put into it. And these things just don't do themselves, and all the standards are pretty decent. Yeah, they're pretty decent. Now, let's have a little look at a few little feature areas. I see a few of the vanilla piers down here. As always, regulars will know that I'm not a big fan of putting too many of those together because it is very apparent it's the same one. You can say the same with the factories, but at least the factories, yeah, these are collapsing, but they're collapsing identically. Is the Essential Lighthouse? Ah, isn't she lovely? Yeah, they're collapsing identically. So one on its own, kind of get away with, but when you put two together you go, hang on a minute, unless you're very clever and you get in the way and you're distracting with something else that's going on, very rarely works for me anyway. Big buildable space. Look at this, look at that. And yes, the field painting, but again, those are big blocks. You could do a proper little oil or ore little facility going on there. Lots of things to look at there. Right, so we've seen the tree. I don't know why we're coming back down to the tree. Well done for saving that into the computer's memory. Over here, we have seen this before, but like I say, why the cemetery here? I don't fully understand. I don't really totally buy into that area. Don't mind the factories there, though, mind you. Interesting water shapes going on here, like the lake and like a wetland area on the way out, the delta on the way out there. This is an interesting little area. It gets very narrow. This is Florida Keys style, obviously, that sort of thing. It gets very narrow. I'm not sure I entirely like that there's a highway taking up most of the space in there. What I do like, though, with the highway and the rail, you'll notice that they're elevated. This would obviously be a worryingly prone area for flooding because it's very narrow, very low, and to have that elevated in that section there makes a lot of sense to me. And so, always looking for things to talk about that are positive. Gotta say, I'm not so sure about the grass painting. It's very dotty. It's very dotty. I mean, we've got coverage. I guess there is coverage. But yeah, not really to my taste. But listen, it's okay, isn't it, eh? Let's have a little look at the shipping routes while we're over here. We have one shipping route here that is going to come in, loop in through the harbour area and through these bridges. Now, I'll let you know that they are a little bit low for the vanilla shipping. You get a little bit of shipping clipping going on there. This one's almost high enough, but actually you got ships that be crunching through the pillar on that way through there. I think there's a second shipping route somewhere which just cuts around the corner, if I remember rightly. Water flow in the start square is not the strongest. You'll find a way of making it work, I'm absolutely certain, but if you do like to pump and draw into the same water source, this is what you have, and you may have some sickness. So go with the water towers. Go with some water towers just to get you started until you can pump from somewhere else. I don't mind this water's edge terrain work. Yes, it's the vanilla theme, doesn't really help it pop, but I don't mind that too much. But I have spotted over here some ridges. little ridges. I've put the terrain lines on. You can see it's just worked in the old terrain height map that's in there. Could just be smoothed out a little bit more because the texture is showing as ruining along those ridges there. And also we've got a big strong river over. Now this is outside of the 25 tiles, so it's not really going to affect anybody, but the river is a bit lumpy over here. It's very wide, it's very strong, but it is just in need of a little bit more love. I hate to tell. I hate being critical about these things. But anyway, it's out of the way. Nobody's going to notice it if you're playing 25 tiles. And that is about all you need to know about the map. But what do you think of it? What do you think of it? Is it a 1-star map? Is it a 5-star map? Is it somewhere in between? Your vote really does count. We use it at the end of the month for the Viewers' Choice Top 10. Now, don't be lazy. Go and vote. Too many people are too lazy and just, rely on somebody else to do the voting for them. It doesn't work that way. If nobody votes, you end up with anarchy. You end up with crazy leaders. So, but go vote, okay? Make sure you're voting on the right map as well, all right? New Vanessa County, this one by tyreyfurry. Is it any good? I would say, do you know what? It's not bad at all. Now, this isn't quite their first map. They released a map the day before, so I reckon this is one day's work and their second map, and they've not done bad at all. Aesthetically, I think it's quite memorable. I don't think it's very pretty, but I think it's quite memorable. Pretty good design, and not too much wrong with it. I think we can go for a high 3. Detailing, there's nothing that really stands out, and we have got, where we are pushing towards 4 stars, we've got a few little things holding it back, just a few little things. I'm going to go for a little bit over middle 3. Gameplay potential, you could argue for 4 stars here. I would say there's not quite enough inspiration to make you want to play the map, but it won't let you down if you do. So 3 stars is the pass mark, so that's good. I'll go towards the top end because it is interesting. Tyreyfurry, I want to say furry, a pretty decent map for an early effort. Anyway, something else is pretty decent is intermission. We'll be right back after this. And on with today's second map. This one is a real life location and a creator request map. A creator who we've reviewed twice in the past, episodes 1473 and 1484, where they got 10 and then 9 stars. This map was a commission map, and in terms of would you like to play it, I think if you're looking for a real life location and a pre-built road infrastructure, you could go a lot worse than playing this map. It's Rochester, Minnesota by a Redo. Redo, again, it's a commission map, and there's a little nod to the commissionee on the map, which we'll have a look at later. Here's your start square. It's a grid city, a real life location, but we're not talking about a big city. We're talking about a largish town, Middle East large town. Terrain height's pretty flat because Minnesota. There's your resources, a little bit of field painting. There's not much going on there. Definitely more for a detailer, this map, than it is for a vanilla style player. And if you've got Sunset Harbour and you want to do some fishing, maybe a bit of anchovy fishing in the lake, maybe salmon fishing in the river, possibly. Okay, off to the workshop. What do we need? Well, it's a mass transit map. You will need mass transit for this one. We have a one-click collection up there with 55 items in it, and a nicely written short description, and a shout out to Mighty for their commission as well. Apparently $10 gets you a map these days. But is it any good? Well, the amount of items on the list, you would think it's going to be exceptional. And it's not bad. Okay, let's get it out of the way. It's not a bad map at all. However, there are definitely some things on here that aren't required for the map. I can't tell you how many things because it doesn't quite work that way, but there's definitely some things. For example, there's a listing for the US highway fonts for procedural objects here, which I couldn't find any procedural objects on the map, so that's definitely not required. And on top of that, also there's a missing asset when loading the map up, the plain street tree medium. You're also definitely going to want to have tree anarchy because there's 500,000 trees on the map and the tree limit is about 250,000, so without tree anarchy you'll have no trees showing at all. But anyway, once you've subscribed to everything and got down to ground level and got up with the theme mix, yes. Now here's my next grumble. Me is full of grumbles today. Me is. The Green Hope theme mix, which is listed with the Mixer 2, is also listed, so it's good to have both of those things there as well. Now, the Green Hope theme mix requires Stray Cats Territory and Nature Reserve. Now, that is listed under the theme mix itself, but not within the one-click collection. So it's always good to have any themes within the theme mix in the one-click collection so that they can be picked up just with one click. The whole point is one click. You do the one click, you load the game, and you wonder why it doesn't look like it. And then turns out there's more things that you need, but you need to be clicking into other things to find the dependencies and so on. You get me gist. Anyway, there's that. And also, a Green Hope theme mix uses the realistic 1.2 LUT, which isn't listed, but again, I use that as in my generic LUT anyway, so I would have been using it one way or another. But again, if you want to have the exact same look as you should be having with the Green Hope theme mix, you're going to want that, and it'd be nice if it was listed. It'd be nice. I'll get paranoid now that it is listed, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Definitely not State Nature Reserve listing. Anyway, highways. We follow the highway down. Finally talking about the map and not like things on lists and stuff. And if we take a little left here, we could take a left at the previous intersection, but we'll be having a look at that intersection in a little bit more detail later on. Here's your start square. And this looks quite pleasing. Again, because they've gone to a lot of effort to make sure the roads are accurate, I'm assuming that the roads are, on the whole, very accurate indeed. And they are, on the whole, pretty accurate. I found one or two discrepancies, one or two minor discrepancies, which we'll have a look at again when we start popping around later. But if you're looking to recreate Rochester, or just want to do building a ready-made area, then that is good to go for me. It really is. Anyway, I'm just loving also the way that the trees have been done, painting the areas around the outside. We've got a good density of trees again, 500,000 trees. You'll be missing a whole bunch of trees if you haven't got tree anarchy, and that is something just to consider quite important, I feel. The rivers have got a very pleasing shape, again based on the real life. Why would you not want to have it based on real life? And looks good and strong, and again plenty of buildable space around the outside of the pre-defined area if you want to expand out there and do your own build away from what Rochester has in real life. A nice little thing here, the tree and the roundabout, and we've gone with is a hardwood tree there. I think it was more of an oval about, isn't it? I like that. I think these things are nice, and again, this kind of makes you look at this and you go, ooh, lots of traffic lights and lots of lanes, and it just seems to be done correctly. Left turn only on the. Do you see that? Oh yes, because it's one way. I think I'd want that on the inside lane, to be honest with you, rather than cutting across all of the traffic. Then you've got a few trees in the water. There's not too many on this map, but this one stood out as being quite an exceptional little area. So yes, they do have their trunks on, so it doesn't matter. And speaking of water, we've got some lakes as well, and these do match up very nicely with the map in real life. Apart from this dry area here, which is lacking a little bit of water for the fill levels. And if we were to jump across to the other side of the highway, there we go, jumping across. These are lakes as well. Not just more large ponds than lakes. And again, there's no fill in those. So there's a little bit of fill area here and there for water. Now you may have noticed on the flyover there were a few little glitchy areas with just the way it's been pushed a bit tight. Not really much you can do about that. There are mods to avoid that as well. And a little bit of side of road glitching there too, but also a tailback of traffic. Now this one will be fixable with Traffic Manager Present Edition, highly recommended, and you're probably going to be using it anyway on this as a detailer's map. But the traffic is going that route because it's a shortcut, rather than looping up and over the highway and coming back, even though it's completely clear. So yes, Traffic Manager Present Edition, just to stop the link over there, and you'll have much smoother flowing traffic. I got a little bit of street lamp clipping. I picked out this bit. I'm sure there's probably more across the map. I haven't looked for too many. Once you find one, found something to talk about. A little bit of blue mantle under the underside there. And you'll see a bit more blue mantle across the map. Not too much. A little bit of a bump on the up ramp here. Again, it's very minor stuff and most people aren't going to care, but I've got to mention it. And then over here, we've got a little bit of blue mantle with the edge of road glitching just where it's elevated a little bit more than the terrain can cope with. Big splash of blue mantle under this one. I promise you that's the last blue mantle we're going to have a look at. There may well be more across the map, but looking at the map as a whole, it doesn't feel like a map that's got a lot of blue mantle on it. It's not as bad as I'm making it sound. I've just picked out the worst bits, yeah? We have a few trees under the road here. Again, tree anarchy settings are allowing for this to happen. There are many ways to avoid that from happening, but I always show it, so I'm showing it on this map as well. And also down here, remember I said there was a shout out to the commissionee? That was Mighty. They've got a little signature down here, so they have their name on the map. It is Mighty's map, but you are free to play on it as well. And thank you, Mighty, for commissioning it, because, you know, maps like this, they're nice, and there are a lot of people that would enjoy building on them. So it's good to share and have fun with you. Anyway, what do you think of today's first map? Second map. First map you voted on already. Is it a 1-star map? Is it a 5-star map? Is it somewhere in between? Your vote really does count. We use it at the end of the month for the Viewer's Choice Top 10. Click the link in the top corner or the description. Take you to the voting page. And remember to vote on the correct map, because there are, of course, now 2 maps per show. Now, what do I think of today's second map? Well, aesthetically, I was very comfortably going to go into 4 stars with this one, but because of the missing requirements on the one-click collection, I'm going to assume that most people that load this up on just a regular, like, oh, look, I found a good-looking map, will be lacking parts of the theme mix, and it will look a lot more vanilla or plain or basic. Of course, with all the bits in there, it's easily 4 stars, but I've got to give it 3, I'm afraid. I'm going to go middle 3. Detailing is pretty strong, but there are lots of niggly bits. And again, I would very happily go into 4 stars for this, but those niggly bits are holding it down, so I'm going to go into a medium-high 3. Gameplay feels pretty playable. So many niggly bits that I'd want to fix as I'm going along. Again, a detailer won't have any problem with that and then actually add to their enjoyment. So again, it's probably 4 stars for most people. But again, I've got to penalise it. So again, I'm going to go for a very high 3 stars. But all that said, I really do like Rochester by Aridu. It's exactly the sort of map that I think a lot of people out there are looking for, and it's a good example. Just lots of tiny little niggly bits. It's fine. Niggly bits. I can deal with niggly bits. I really can. Now tell me, can you cope with them? And tell me, are you going to use the word of the day in the comments? Score yourself some population points and prove you're part of the 20 and now elite. You are. Oh, that's marvellous. And I'll see you again in a couple of days for the next edition of What's Map. I'll be here. Will you be here? See you then.